Time to get some grooming done on this golf green, so I'll show you guys why we groom shorter cut turf, especially grass like bent grass, couch grass, even zoysia grass, and sometimes Kikuyu if you want to get keen. The reason we do it, so let's rip into it today and get this done. Yo mate, what up? Welcome to another lawn tip vid. So behind me today I've got my groomer, which is just a reel that's set up in my Protea just here. You can see in there we've got a groomer. So what groomers do, or verticutters, just depends on what you're doing, is they nick into the top of the canopy of your grass and they pull out all of the mat and thatch that is in your lawn. So this bent grass just here is starting to get a little bit spongy, a little bit puffy, so it needs to be thinned out. Now, the main reason it's starting to get a little bit of a mat in it, which is basically your top growth that starts to lay over and your grass blades aren't sticking up properly, is because I haven't kept on top of the mowing as much as I would have liked to have this season. I've been sort of chasing my tail a bit. So the lawn's just sort of thickened up and I haven't kept up with the mowing, so there's just a lot of dead grass in the top layer and also grass blades that are laying down on top of each other as well. So we need to thin the canopy out. Now this is a little bit different to scarifying. This is the above ground thatch and the mat as well. It's not actually your below ground thatch. So we're not digging into the soil, we're just getting the stuff in the top of the canopy. Now this is important to do, as I said, with Kikuyu grass, especially fine leaf turf like your couch grass and your bent grass as well. Can be done with Kentucky bluegrass. Generally only really done when you start getting at lower heights of cut though, when the surface gets quite tight and knits up and is very, very dense. Another reason I'd like to thin it out as well is because you can see there's a couple of green spots all over the place here. So this is from the fertilizer I put out. I put out some granular fertilizer a couple of weeks ago, some reinstate, and I've used it in the past in the cooler months and it hasn't left blotchiness like this. Because the prill's a little bit bigger, you really need mini prill when you're starting to go down to 3 millimeters on your bent grass. So it's just sort of concentrated the fertilizer in spots like this, and other areas are still needing some nitrogen in them. So the thought process today is I'll thin it out quite a bit and then give this area a hit of liquid fert and probably got some nitrogen and some iron in it, just to help even out the color and bring the uniformity back to this area here, because it looks a little bit nasty. As I mentioned, you only really have to start thinking about grooming your lawn if you started getting below that sort of 10 mil mark and your turf is quite tight, because you'll find even if you mow different directions, sometimes the grass will just like dense up on top of each other and lay on top of each other. So you have to get rid of that mattiness to help get some oxygen back down into your root system. Also helps the water penetrate down a little bit easier as well. And I mean, when it comes to golf, if you're doing this monthly or every 2 weeks even, really helps for a nice smooth playing surface, gets rid of some of that seed head and stuff and just helps smoothen it up so your ball rolls a little bit quicker and a little bit nicer as well. People tend to like pairing a top dress alongside it as well. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to groom it, pull out as much as we can, and it's only nicking in. It's probably going about 1 mil, 2 mil below the surface. I might adjust it deeper or lighter, just depends on how much we start pulling out. But let's do it. Let's rip into it. Let's get it done now. This is something I want to do probably every month, once a month at least. If you're keen, you do it every 2 weeks, but we're not pushing too much nitrogen here, so it's not thickening up like crazy and thatching up like crazy. I've just had that problem after putting that granular fertilizer down. Just looks a bit funky. But yeah, a way you can tell if you need to do it is if it starts getting a little bit spongy underfoot, or if your mower starts scalping in certain spots where it wasn't scalping before. Start scalping more and more regularly, even if it's on your edges and stuff like that. Good sign that you probably need to get grooming done. So I've done 3 passes on here, tiny passes as well, and we've already got nearly half a catcher. So just pulling out a few stole-ons, a bit of the top growth as well, and a bit of the dead material. But you can see it doesn't really damage the turf that much. It doesn't look like it's been damaged at all, hardly anything. Once we do a mow or two, that will disappear. But we're getting all this stuff, the puffiness out of the canopy of it. The blades are actually standing up a little bit as well, so the next time we do a cut on this area, we'll get a little bit more grass off, because it actually helps standing the grass up, which is why it's a great thing to do. So all that grass that's laying down, as I said, was the mat. So it's helping that stand up. So next time we cut, we're gonna have a smoother playing surface. So let's keep going before the rain actually hits today, which I think it's supposed to hit soon, so let's just rip into it. Well, that was really, really good. First pass, the gator got over a full tub on it. And then I actually set the Groom up a little bit higher so it wasn't going in quite as deep. Because it was pulling me along, if you notice at the start, it was going, it was digging in deep, which is good. I needed to really thin this out because it was getting pretty bad. It feels so much better underfoot after just going over that twice, like significantly different. It even looks less puffy across the area. It looks a little bit more uniform, a little bit of difference in colour still in those less, those parts that are full of less nitrogen, but we've thinned out those really, really thick patches, which will also help those thick patches creep sideways a little bit as well into some other areas that are a little bit thinner. Not that the green's really that thin, there's only some parts on the edges which need a tiny bit of thickening up. Through the guts of it, it's pretty good, but a bore will roll so much better on this now. I'd love to get a cut on this now, but the rain is really starting to settle in, so I'll probably get a cut on it tomorrow morning, which will be fine. We'll get some nice moisture down into the canopy as well with all these slits in throughout the whole area. Man, what a difference that makes. It just feels so much better underfoot. Also just wanted to mention, it is going to help get our nutrients down there a lot more as well. It's also going to help prevent disease a lot more as well, because the moisture's not going to sit in the canopy as much. It's actually going to get down past there into the root system as well. So definitely a good way to get on top of all that matting of your grass, which is something that can really, really cause disease problems in your lawn. Now, that's all I really need to talk about in today's video. If you guys have any questions about grooming, let me know, but make sure if you are deciding to start doing grooming on your couch grass, bent grass, Kentucky bluegrass, Kikuyu, anything like that, make sure you have a schedule for it. So do it at least once a month during the growing season. Don't need to worry about it during winter, but during the growing season, just to help get rid of that mat on the top, a little bit of thatch, and just help some moisture get down there a bit more, help with the nutrients, and if you've got a putting green or something, help with a better playing surface as well. Thanks guys so much for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you guys learned something from that video. It was a massive process. That took me like 2 hours. It took way longer than I thought it was going to take me, but it looks so much better for it. Anyway, thanks guys. See you soon.